Alright, I'm just going with this. I haven't really given it as much thought as I might normally, just because I don't want it to start raining again. It was sprinkling just a little while ago, and that would end things pretty quick, I think. Um, it's a little chilly out. I didn't bring my cat this time because he was he was resting comfortably on his perch, but at the same time, because it's cold, and the moment he saw the bag, he just left. He ghosted, so I don't think he wanted to be out here today anyways, so it makes it easier on me. I'm kind of recording this because it's been about a week since I made the last recording, which I posted, but I haven't actually, I uploaded, but I haven't posted anywhere because of, every time that I've considered actually posting it in a place where someone else could see it, I've thought about all the ways in which it might not actually be accurate. I've been self-conscious about the meandering nature of what I'm doing. Part of my point in this is to just verbalize this and have motivation to verbalize. If just talking to myself seems unproductive, but somehow talking to a camera as if someone else were listening, it's kind of like rubber duck programming, I guess. It just makes it seem more effective, and the act of actually doing that seems to help me actually process some stuff, so I'm doing it for that reason. But if I'm not actually going to post the video, then it's like, why even have the camera? Why? It's like the act of actually recording the video like this with the intention of actually posting it helps me actually process things better, because it's like I'm actually talking to someone who might be listening, whoever that is. So I'm thinking about that, but it's at the same time I'm self-conscious about the whole narcissism thing. It's like, well, am I just posting this to seek attention and make others think that? I don't think I am. I don't think I'm trying to do that. I think it's more about just not wanting others to see this meandering process of just stream of consciousness, as well as make assumptions or judgments or whatever that might not be accurate, depending on how poorly or well I've done at actually explaining myself. So, in the interest of keeping this shorter, I think I got my point across about that. I'm going to try not to repeat it yet again. So yeah, I'm partially also recording this. No, I don't need medications. To keep myself going in this effort to continue actually trying to figure this stuff out, which, is kind of an oxymoron, thinking about emotions more. I don't know. But dwelling within the moment, actually thinking about it, that's helpful, I think. So doing this is, I think, helpful for me. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'll keep doing it or not, but and also right now, just in the state that I'm in, doing anything is actually, it feels like a bit of a challenge. So again, I didn't really want to record this, and so that's partially why I am doing it. It's because I feel like in this mental state, not falling back into that self-incapacitation coping strategy is an important thing. And I know how hard I worked to close that escape hatch. And I feel like this is part of my mindful effort to be attentive to that fact. Is all right, I'm not going to be just going back in and sleeping, which is all I really want to do, or cleaning, or just basically, doing something that, I guess I'm also doing the recording to capture this, just me in this state. As I currently am, just to, it's been a while since I've been this, I'll call it bad, in the sense of just feeling so foggy-headed and fatigued, and also emotionally related to that, all the emotions that go along with feeling like that, just a negative mindset. So just capturing how I am now, how I'm talking, or how I'm having a harder time talking or verbalizing, or just the differences in that demeanor, for my own sake and reference. Part of I took a few notes before this just to try to keep me on track, because it's kind of hard for me to gather my thoughts right now. Part of what's really challenging about this state is that I've got good evidence and good reasons to think that it might be physiological in nature, caused by physiological reasons, just, of chemical processes or biological processes of the body, or maybe slightly malfunctioning processes or something. But also I've got good reasons to think that it's psychological, just in the mind and of the mind, and just my emotional state and those things. And, it could be both. It could be like one informing the other, or both in a variety of ways. It's just sometimes maddening in a sense that not knowing if it's physiological or psychological just feels sometimes like it's maddening. It's like, should I be, taking more medications to combat this? Should I get back on an antidepressant, to be specific? Or should I take more of the steroids, which I need to take on a daily basis anyways? Is it just a steroid insufficiency? But I'm pretty sure it's more than that. The main medication I'm thinking of is having a primary impact on this is the meloxicam, which is a COX-2 inhibitor. It's just an anti-inflammatory that very specifically targets the COX-2 enzyme. And I'm thinking that is, like, I'm going to see a doctor about that tomorrow, the doctor that's been basically following and tracking my progress in this particular aspect of my medical treatment, and talk with him about whether or not it makes sense to maybe get back on it. Maybe try it for a short while or something like that. I don't really know. Like, part of me wants to dwell within this mindset in this state to try to figure it out. And I think from what I understand, like my therapist tells me at least, that it's easier for people to usually work on things from a therapy perspective, from a mental and emotional awareness perspective, when they're feeling better. It's harder to work on things and make progress when one is feeling worse. So I feel like from that perspective, getting onto meloxicam again, at least not an antidepressant, just an anti-inflammatory, I think that could make sense. I'm not sure if it's possible for an anti-inflammatory to have profound emotional or psychological benefits as well. It doesn't seem like it could. Like, I think feeling better naturally would make one more prone to feeling physically better would naturally be more prone to making one feel mentally better as well. And maybe vice versa. When one has the flu, I think it's easier to feel crappy emotionally as well, or something like that. But it's like part of me wants to linger in the emotions and try to understand them better, and part of me really doesn't want to be in the emotions. And like, I'm trying to be aware of, like, whether or not I'm avoiding emotions that I haven't processed, or if I'm just, if I just don't want to feel crappy. It's like, I think when I'm waking up feeling fatigued and having a hard time focusing my thoughts, that's understandably, I think, I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like it's psychological in that sense, because if I'm just waking up out of sleep feeling tired already, like, before I even think about whatever, like anything, before I have any real conscious thoughts, if I wake up feeling like, oh, I hope it's only 3 a.m. so that there's plenty of time for me to sleep, and I look out the window and it's already light outside and it's probably like 8 or 9. Like, I woke up this morning and it was like a few minutes before I was taking my medication, or going, like, my alarm was going to go off at 9 for my medications in the morning, like steroids and whatnot. And I woke up just before the alarm, like by a couple of minutes, maybe a few minutes, and I was just thinking, oh, I feel so poorly rested. And, I'd had about 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep at that point. Like, I'd gone to bed around 12:30 the previous, so it was about 8 to 8.5 hours. But I just felt so poorly rested, and I just, like, and this is such a familiar feeling. Like, for most of my life, I've, like, woken up feeling like, oh, I could really use another, like, honestly, I'd be like, I could really use another 3 hours of sleep, but really feeling like, oh, I could really use another 8 hours of sleep. And so thinking that, and then having all the anxiety that comes along with that feeling of, like, oh, it's already light outside, and I don't know how much longer I have before my alarm's going to go off, and get up and going to go start my day and do the plans that I had for the day, and how I'm going to accomplish those, feeling tired and foggy-headed. And I'm just trying to keep in touch, because this camera only does 20 minutes at a time or so, and I want to not make this long anyways. It's already 10 minutes in. It's just tough waking up feeling like I'm not even sure if it's my fault for feeling like this. Like, is it just psychological? Is it just that I'm waking up feeling tired because I'm in the mindset of just expecting that? And like, I'm aware of how strongly psychosomatic symptoms can present themselves just purely based on thoughts and emotion. So it's also got this kind of sense of, am I gaslighting myself? Am I pretending like this is a physiological thing just to actually pretend like it's something I can't do something about mentally? I don't know. And it's just, it's maddening to me in that mindset, especially just right in the morning, because it's just like, but the evidence that I have that it's physiological is that, when I was on this meloxicam, like within 2 weeks, that fatigue and that brain fog that I had basically become intimate friends with, or frenemies, I don't know, just intimate partners with for most of my life, it was gone. And I was thinking clearly and feeling great, like manic even, like to the point where it's like, this isn't really sustainable. I don't know how I can feel this well all the time. And I was just getting so much done and really feeling good, but also it came alongside, other feelings of like grandiosity and the narcissism stuff, and like that, I don't want to be feeling that either. So sometimes when I'm feeling bad, I feel so much less than, I feel like I'm less than others, less than myself even, that I like, just being around, like I get super needy, I get super emotional. I hate feeling like that as well, like feeling like, oh, here I am, my friends are all tolerating me because I'm not really with it, and I'm telling them that I'm not really with it, and they're tired of hearing that probably, and they're just, they're very supportive. I really appreciate that. At the same time, it's just, I feel like I'm apologetic for just being myself around other people, and so again, just all these negative strokes just coming from myself. And then, sometimes from others when my friends like check my game moves for me, which I appreciate, but at the same time it's like an implicit acknowledgement. Hey, we realize you're not really feeling well. You realize you're kind of not really in touch with the rules and the mechanics of the game as much as you might normally be. So we're going to help you with this. And, this sense of being rescued from that, it's also like complicated emotionally. It's like, ugh. Everybody knows that I'm less than, and everybody's treating me like I'm less than, and in some ways I appreciate it, and in some ways it's also challenging just to feel like that. I really don't need medication now because I just took it. So yeah, I guess I feel like, I don't know, it's going to be a complicated decision. I'll probably weigh it with my therapist and I feel like it makes sense to be back on the meloxicam if that's helping me actually think better and feel better, and then I can continue working on these issues while I'm thinking better and feeling better. And of course, getting all the other things done that I do when I'm feeling better. It's just, I also really genuinely want to troubleshoot these issues as if they're emotional things, psychological things that I can actually work on without the need for medication, that I can maybe do something about without relying on the magical pill that solves everything. Because that's one way to get through life, is to use medication to treat symptoms, and another way is to actually sometimes dig deep into the emotions and figure it out. And it's hard for me to know, especially with all the stuff that I've been through medically, like the bone marrow transplant, leukemia, and all the side effects after that, like the steroid, the dependency, the adrenal insufficiency, and just feeling so variable on a day-to-day basis regardless because of that. All the hospitalizations and the damage that does to the body. Like, I've legitimately been through medical stuff. And so I've got, when I go to see my hematologist oncologist, she tells me, well, the symptoms you're feeling are fairly ordinary, fairly common for people with graft versus host disease, which I have, like just the immune system that I was given attacking my body. Is, at the same time as that immune system's keeping me alive, it's also, partially rejecting my body. And so there's always this constant inflammation related to that, a little bit of redness on the hands, but otherwise, because I'm cold and it's early in the day, not too much yet, but... So, I'm being told by doctors who know their trade well, these specialists at Duke, that, the symptoms that I'm having, the malaise, the constant fatigue and the brain fog, these are all normal and common for people with graft versus host disease. And yet when I get on an anti-inflammatory, suddenly it all seems better. It all goes away. And so, that could also be physiological, but I'm also aware that, yeah, anyways, all right. I'm getting kind of wrapped up in this feedback of just going into this spiral of talking about this. Yeah, it's just like this emotional process. I have these, like, one of the things I was going to talk about was like what it's like to wake up. Like when I'm feeling well, like most since September or mid-October, when I got on the medication at the end of September, since about mid-October is when I really started feeling the effects. I even have the charts, like I've been keeping track with these notes, these spreadsheets that I wrote for myself. Just this is September. I was feeling better in September, just waking up, again, not really feeling refreshed, but not really feeling too anxious or emotionally bad. I was feeling okay motivationally, but not great. I was like, I can do stuff, which is not bad. In terms of like waking up and feeling like, oh, I don't want to do anything and I can't do anything. Like that would be a bad motivational day. And then, let's see, that's August. Just looking through. I want to actually put this on video too, just so I can see the history of what it was like. And then October, it's like basically, that was, about a week after surgery. Surgery was, I think, on the 25th, yeah, of the hip replacement surgery was September 25th. And then, so it looks like it was about October 17th, so maybe about 2 weeks after the hip surgery, I had my first day of actually feeling like, in months. Like August didn't have any like that. Like, no, there was one day, I guess, in August where I felt pretty good, looks like. And July, I think, yeah. Like before then, so for the first time in months, October 17th, I woke up and used 2+ signs for motivation. Like I really wanted to get stuff done that day, even though I still didn't really feel particularly well rested. And it just was a streak. Like that day, it was the day before the 16th. I did an all-nighter. I think I was working on some ideas. I think I was in the wood shop actually at Splat Space working with my parents on a birthday gift for Derek. That was also related to a game idea I was interested in developing. But it's just a streak of just extreme motivation for like completely unusual out of like for most of my adult life, other than that really brief period back in 2010 when I was on several medications for treating chronic Lyme. I felt that great for about 2 weeks, but yeah, so I felt consistently great, and so that was all for the rest of October and November. Yeah, consistently just like my mental acuity. Like I've been gauging my anxiety, my mental acuity, like how sharply I've been able to think, and my motivation. And November was just like, for the first time, I'm using 2+ for acuity. Like, wow, not only am I really motivated, but I'm thinking really clearly. Just I can hold lots of thoughts in my head and really complicated thoughts and build on them and work with them. Just having this sense of thinking really clearly. And so that was for all of November. Sometimes I may be using like 3+. Like the first time I used the 3+ at the end of November. Just like this concept of like, wow, I'm feeling so much better than I've ever felt. I don't think I ever remember feeling this good. Just again, trying to keep in touch with the time here. 18 minutes. And then December, again, this is all while I'm on meloxicam. So I've stayed on meloxicam for November, December. Again, just the whole month of December, I'm just feeling great. Getting tons done, just super motivated, like working all the time. Oftentimes it doesn't seem like I'm necessarily getting as much sleep because I'm still not really feeling refreshed ever. I'm putting like question mark for the refresh, so I don't know. It's and then in January I went off the medication. At the beginning of January I stopped meloxicam, and I still was feeling great for most of January. I even stopped kind of tracking my motivation and sleep and stuff because I'm like, well, this is all normal. It's all going right. Maybe I permanently solved this problem, so that's fantastic. And then that changed earlier this month, where is this the sheet for that? Yeah, this is this month. Just in February, where it's like I'm still feeling great. And I remember that it was on the 12th of February, about a month and a week after I stopped meloxicam. And I stopped like the day after that is like the first day in a long time where I didn't feel great. It was like I felt okay, I felt well, but it was noticeably less than as great as I'd been feeling for most of the past few months. And then that kind of spiraled downwards over the next couple of weeks into feeling, as crappy as I'd felt prior to it all. Just like even before August, I just felt really crappy again. And so I wonder how much of that was physiological based on the meloxicam and the inflammation, and how much of it was psychological, just the mindset of like, oh, I'm off the medication. And it's also, getting more fatigued and not thinking as clearly, and then that feeding back into itself. So it's just a really challenging quagmire to be in, this idea of having these significant physiological issues, but also psychological issues, and not knowing how much of both. And, when I wake up feeling bad, first I'm like realizing how unrefreshed I feel. And then instead of just like being so motivated, like even if I'm unrefreshed while I'm feeling well, like I'm super motivated, I want to do things, I feel unwell, I feel unrefreshed, and it's like I don't really want to do anything. I don't know if I can do anything. And so I'm getting like anxious about that, and then getting scared about like the fact of, wow, like this is how it might be, and this, I don't know if I'll be able to fix this. And just dwelling in that thought of just feeling like maybe I'm kind of just incapable of doing things. And then I get lonely just because it's like, wow, if I'm unable to do things, who's going to want to spend time with me? And who do I have in my life right now that really wants to spend time with me? And I just feed back in all those things. Then I get hopeful, and I'm like, well, I can do stuff about this. I can maybe make some plans with people or reach out, and I've got all these great friends that I do enjoy spending time with. And then I get, after that, like despair. It's like, oh, but this is just me. I'm not going to feel the same way tomorrow. I'm going to keep going through this, and it's probably going to get worse. And so there's just this real mindset shift that seems to me very psychological. And that's where it's all in my head. And it's like, if I can find a way, even when I'm feeling really unrefreshed and unwell mentally, to just still feel really well positively. I feel like that is the best that I could do. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is that I'm just focusing on both that, just trying to stay positive, and also trying to figure out, all right, is this, like, what other getting in touch with the psychological issues of, what is it that I still want to work on in therapy? What is it that I can still work on? Just trying to see if this is even still recording. Is it? Are you still recording? It is. It's probably about to stop soon. Anyways, it's been about 22 minutes. I'll probably record some more of these. I'm going to post this, and I'm sorry if none of this is interesting, or if it seems repetitive or boring. I'm really doing it mostly for myself, and I'm sharing it with others in case they find it interesting or relevant. I'm guessing, I'm not expecting anyone to find this interesting or relevant, or even to watch this. Maybe my mom might, or my brother or sister. Maybe some friends from therapy might see parts of it, or that kind of thing. But I think I'm just going to keep doing this to try to stay aware, for my own sake, for my own reasons. Wondering if there's anything else that I really wanted to mention or talk about real quick in my notes. I think I guess that's where I'm at. So I guess in summary, I don't know if I have time for an in summary or not, but I am, I'm not feeling great. I haven't been feeling great for a few weeks, and it's been getting worse. And I'm aware that it's, probably partially physiological, probably partially psychological. I might start taking that drug again soon, and I'll record how that is. And, the changes might seem obvious. I don't really know. But I'm also hoping that even if I do improve, that I'll still get in touch with the emotional parts that I want to work on. And hopefully just, make life a little easier for myself in that regard. Because it doesn't have to be any harder already. I think a lot of people can relate to that. We don't need to make life harder for ourselves than it already is. Thanks for listening if you got it this far.